Hey man, we back. Today we finna talk about outcasts. I'm talking about outcasts and weirdos. Now, what you need to understand is we're gonna have to break this down before we get into it. Is an outcast is just a person who is not. So think of it as high school, or think of it as the scenery, the pack. Everybody following the pack. So you got everyone following the pack. Now, an outcast is somebody who is not part of the cast. So that's what we call an outcast. Like if you break it down like that. So basically on some deep shit, this is how shit go. Everything in the future, so the future is already planned out. But sometimes the future can change due to present, depending on what you do in the present. Like for example, if I'm psychic, if I do a psychic reading for you, and I say, oh yeah, you finna get a rap deal, you can't just sit on your ass and expect you finna get a rap deal. No, you still have to do it and do the shit you was doing before. Like just because I said you see what I mean? So depending on what you do in the present is how it's gonna change. So let's go back to the outcast thing. So an outcast is basically somebody who is not part of the scene. They got their own movie. They got their own, like, an outcast is somebody who got their own movie going on. Real shit. They got their own movie. That's why you should be friends with an outcast, because an outcast can really put you on to some shit that can really help you and benefit you in your life. But the way the world is, and especially in school and shit, I mean, I'm in high school too myself, but the way the world is, they look at the outcasts as, I'm saying casts and shit, they look at the outcasts like they ain't shit or they lames or some shit. When no, the outcast got more value than people who are in the crowd and following the pack and who are in the scenery. The outcast is not part of the scene. Now we finna go into the video now. So the outcast and the weirdos. So I told you what the outcast was. Now let me tell you what a weirdo is. Now a weirdo can't be a person, cause people who are in the scenery gonna look at the outcast as a weirdo. If you understand what I'm saying. So it's like, but the thing is like the outcast is not part of the scenery. So he looking at dumbass weirdos. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically like, if you, like, I think I made a video about what you say to people is basically a reflection of you. So the outcast is like, I'm not finna call them weirdos. I don't really care. But people are coming to the outcast. Even the outcast, like, if you're a person who not following the path, you generally know everybody else. Like you look at this shit. I know you look at the shit people do and be like, that shit is so weird how they operate. Now look, why do you really look, you on the outside looking in, but people who on the inside looking out looking at you is weird because you not following the pack. But as it all boils down to, if you unconsciously, like, if you not consciously aware, and you like, say for example you at school, I know I'm going off topic, but people tell on themselves in conversations, and y'all need to realize that a person will say you got a dickhead, or some person will be like, oh, your head look like a dingling. But you look back at their head, and their head look like a dingling. So it's basically like they just reflecting their insecurities on other people. So like if you're a person who's in school and somebody say something and start talking shit about you, look at him, and it's a reflection of him. Like I was at school one time, and the girl was like, oh, you got an egghead. And I looked at the girl, and I was like, bitch, I know you lying. You got an egghead. It's just a reflection of the other person. Now look, now the outcasts and weirdos, like, they do things that are like most likely way more funner and way more interesting than what the crowd has to offer. Cause not like, it's okay to be in the crowd, but if you're gonna be in the crowd, at least have your own shit going while you in that crowd. So while you in the crowd, you're not like just somebody who's just like floating around and shit in the crowd. You actually, like, cause sometimes you have to be in the crowd, and sometimes you have to play jump rope. You gotta be like me at school. I like when I'm at school. I got a jump rope in the crowd, out the crowd. But one thing they better know is like I'm not gonna be part of the crowd, cause sometimes you gotta be part of the crowd, sometimes you don't. Like me, I do track and shit like that. I do track, so yeah, sometimes I have to associate with the crowd. But when I'm in the crowd, I got my own foundation. I'm secure. Like it's secure. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes it depends on what you gotta do. Sometimes you have to go in the crowd, but you don't need to force yourself in the crowd. Now look, let's get back to the outcasts and the weirdos. Now, the weirdos are like, the weirdo friends are more loyal. Like the weirdo friends are more loyal. Like so-called weirdo, quote unquote. Outcasts like slash weirdo, quote unquote. Cause they really just normal people. They're more loyal friends. Like so, it's better to be friends with them. Cause they can like as I was saying earlier, they can help you in like ways unexpectedly that you would need it. Versus if you was in the crowd trying to receive the same thing and people, you know what I'm saying? They can't even fulfill your needs. But if but you waiting all this time and you following the pattern thinking it's gonna fulfill your needs when a nigga y'all looking at as weird or a lame, he can just do that shit on the spot if y'all just get cool together. And he can like show you some things that you need to know about yourself and improve your life, and things can start happening in your shit. You know what I'm saying? But look though, I'm gonna get 2 more points and we're gonna slide out. An outcast, they add more value to things. Like an outcast always gonna add way more value to things. Like they add more juice to things. You know what I'm saying? But some outcasts are more like expressive. Some outcasts are more inner. Like me, I'm more of an expressive outcast. Like I express the outcast shit. You know what I'm saying? So so you get oohs and ahs and shit like that. But then you got some people at my school, they more like inner outcasts. They're more like inside with the headphones and this shit. But as I was saying though, like outcasts and weirdos are just normal people. It's just that's why I'm gonna make another video like about you should be friends with the outcasts and the weirdos. That's pretty much it.